The first light of dawn cracks the horizon, and a hum of machines begins to stir in the factory's heart. For many of us, that hum is not just the clatter of metal but the rhythm of our daily lives, the pulse of responsibility that keeps our families fed, our homes warm, and our dreams alive. Yet, as the day stretches ahead, the same machines can also echo a quieter, more unsettling sound. An echo of fatigue, of worry about whether the work will be enough, whether the paycheck will cover the bills, whether the effort will be seen, valued, or rewarded. In the quiet moments before the shift begins, the mind may turn to prayers of gratitude, of resilience, or of seeking a blessing that feels both timely and transformative. In our modern era, the workplace has become a microcosm of the larger world, a place of opportunity, of conflict, of ambition, and of doubt. The pressures that come with deadlines, the uncertainty of economic tides, and the constant demand for higher productivity can leave us feeling exhausted, undervalued, and, at times, disconnected from a sense of purpose. We may find ourselves asking, where is the divine presence in this grind? And, is there a higher grace that can guide my labor, protect me from burnout, and bless the fruits of my toil? These questions resonate not only with the secular worker but also with those who seek spiritual anchoring in the midst of everyday demands. The Catholic tradition offers a figure whose life and example are especially relevant to these modern challenges: Saint Joseph the Worker. Not only is he the earthly father of Jesus and the guardian of the Holy Family, but he also embodies the virtues of humility, diligence, and trust in God's providence. He is the patron saint of workers, a title that carries more than symbolic weight. It is a living testament to the sanctity of honest labor and the spiritual nourishment that can be found in the ordinary. His life invites us to see the workplace not merely as a place of survival but as a field where faith can be cultivated, where each task can become an offering, and where every moment of effort can be infused with divine grace. Yet, for many, the call to pray to Saint Joseph the Worker feels like a distant echo, a relic of a past era. The modern worker may be more accustomed to digital notifications than to the gentle murmur of a prayer. The question then becomes, how can we bridge that gap? How do we bring the ancient intercession of Saint Joseph into the rhythm of our current reality? And what tangible difference might it make to our work lives? These are the questions that set the stage for the journey we will walk together in this devotional. We will explore how the story of a humble carpenter from Nazareth can illuminate the path from fatigue to fulfillment, from fear to faith, and from routine to a deeper sense of purpose. As we begin, we will consider the spiritual and practical dimensions of our labor, the hidden ways in which our work can become a dialogue with the divine, and the unique role that Saint Joseph's intercession can play in this dialogue. We will also touch on the ways that prayer can act as a compass, guiding our thoughts, actions, and decisions even when the external world feels chaotic. The journey ahead will not only provide insights but also invite a transformation in how we perceive our daily tasks, how we engage with our colleagues, and how we trust in God's providential care. In this context, we open our hearts and minds to the possibility that a simple, heartfelt prayer to Saint Joseph the Worker can become a powerful catalyst for blessings in work. It is an invitation to step beyond the mundane and into a space where faith, diligence, and divine grace intertwine. The next moments will unfold the layers of this invitation, offering a path that is both grounded in tradition and resonant with contemporary experience, and ultimately guiding us toward a more harmonious, purposeful, and blessed work life. Imagine the first light filtering through the factory windows, the hum of machines rising like a choir. In that moment, before the day's tasks begin, you pause and place your palm over a small, silver keychain shaped like a carpenter's square. The metal is cool against your skin, a tangible reminder that Saint Joseph, the humble carpenter of Nazareth, once turned raw timber into a cradle for the divine. Now, with this simple token, you can anchor your intention, to work with diligence, humility, and a heart open to divine grace. In practice, the key is consistency. Begin each shift by reciting a brief invocation. Saint Joseph, patron of workers, guide my hands, steady my mind, and bless the fruits of my labor. This short prayer, repeated daily, functions as a mental reset, aligning your thoughts with the virtues Joseph exemplified. It is akin to a compass that points toward purposeful action, ensuring that even the most routine task, sorting parts, operating a machine, or checking inventory, becomes an offering to God. Furthermore, integrate moments of reflection throughout the workday. When you pause to change a tool or step between stations, take a breath and silently ask, what can I do to honor the gift of this work? These micro-prayers transform ordinary intervals into opportunities for spiritual nourishment. They help you recognize that every bolt tightened, every line measured, is a small act of faith. By consciously turning mundane actions into prayers, you cultivate a rhythm of gratitude that sustains you against fatigue. Another practical layer is to set a daily intention tied to Joseph's example of stewardship. For instance, choose one specific skill you wish to improve, perhaps the precision of your measurements or the speed of your assembly. Before you begin, ask Saint Joseph for the wisdom to learn and the patience to practice. During the shift, consciously apply that skill, and at the end of the day, reflect on how the effort felt. This iterative loop, intention, action, reflection, mirrors the cycle of prayer and works as a dynamic training ground for virtue. In the midst of the hustle, it can be tempting to let frustration seep in. When that happens, a quick mental image of Saint Joseph's calm demeanor, his steadfastness in the face of uncertainty, can restore composure. Picture him at the workshop, his hands steady, his mind focused on the task at hand. Let that image serve as a mental anchor, reminding you that patience and perseverance are not just virtues but practical tools for success. Additionally, cultivate a habit of sharing. At the end of each shift, take a moment to thank a coworker for their collaboration. In the Catholic tradition, the Eucharist is a community act. Similarly, acknowledging the contributions of others reinforces the communal nature of work. You can even offer a brief, spontaneous prayer for your colleague, invoking Saint Joseph to bless their efforts. This practice turns the workplace into a living parish, where each member's labor is interwoven with a divine tapestry. To keep the prayer alive outside the factory, consider placing a small, discreet card with the prayer on your lunchbox or desk. When you step away for a break, glance at the card, inhale deeply, and repeat the invocation. This external cue helps bridge the gap between work and personal devotion, ensuring that the sanctity of your labor extends beyond the factory floor. Moreover, on days when you feel overwhelmed by deadlines or unexpected challenges, use Saint Joseph's intercession to seek not only material blessings but also spiritual resilience. Ask for the grace to maintain a clear conscience, to avoid shortcuts that compromise safety, and to remember that true success is measured by integrity as much as by output. By aligning your work ethic with these higher standards, you honor both the patron saint and the Gospel's call to love your neighbor through honest labor. Finally, at the close of each day, before you leave the workplace, offer a brief thanksgiving. Thank you, Saint Joseph, for the blessings of today, my safety, my skill, my peace. May the fruits of this day nourish my family and serve the greater good. This closing prayer seals the day's labor in a spiritual covenant, allowing you to depart with a sense of completion and gratitude. By weaving these practices, keychain reminders, micro-prayers, daily intentions, communal appreciation, external cues, resilience appeals, and nightly gratitude, into the fabric of your routine, you transform the ordinary act of working into a living testament of faith. Each moment becomes a dialogue with the divine, each task a prayer, and each blessing a tangible gift from Saint Joseph, the worker's patron. Reflecting on this journey so far, one begins to sense the quiet architecture of a life lived in service, where each act of labor becomes a brick in a larger, divine edifice. The rhythm of the day, its peaks and valleys, mirrors the cadence of prayer, and the steady hum of the workplace becomes a hymn, each note resonating with purpose. In this unfolding tapestry, the hand of Saint Joseph glides gently over the loom, guiding the pattern toward a horizon that is both familiar and wondrously new. The sense of vocation that has been quietly cultivated finds its expression in the subtle ways that faith permeates the ordinary. It is as if the ordinary and the sacred have always shared a secret conversation, where the clatter of metal is not merely noise but a language that speaks to the soul. As the day stretches, the subtle shift from routine to reverence becomes less a choice and more a natural unfolding of a heart attuned to the divine rhythm. When the mind wanders toward the inevitable anxieties of the day, those moments that test our resolve and invite doubt, there is a quiet assurance that the path is not walked alone. It is a path illuminated by a steady light, the glow of a lantern that never dims. The lantern's flame, though small, casts a wide and comforting shadow, reminding us that even in the darkest corners of our work, there is a presence that guides and sustains. This presence, embodied by the intercession of Saint Joseph, is not a distant echo but a living, breathing companion that walks beside us, turning each obstacle into an opportunity for grace. Consider the workplace as a garden that requires both hands and heart. The seeds of diligence are sown in the soil of humility, watered by the waters of prayer. The garden's growth is not measured by the yield alone, but by the fragrance that rises when the flowers open. In this garden, the gardener's touch, gentle, intentional, and compassionate, mirrors the way we must tend to our own spirits, nurturing them with humility, patience, and a steadfast trust in divine providence. Each day's labor, then, becomes a tending of that garden, a nurturing of the seeds that will one day blossom into blessings for ourselves and for those around us. The narrative that has been woven through the previous reflections is one of interconnectedness, a web that links the individual's effort to the larger tapestry of human community. The threads of our actions, however subtle, are drawn into a pattern that reflects a larger design, one that honors the dignity of work, the sanctity of human dignity, and the profound love that underlies all creation. It is a design that invites us to see our labor not merely as a means to an end, but as a participation in a divine story that stretches across time. As the day winds toward its close, the quiet hum of the machines fades, but the resonance of the day's work remains, a lingering echo that carries the imprint of a heart that has listened, a mind that has reflected, and a soul that has reached out. The day's labor, viewed through the lens of faith, becomes a dialogue that continues beyond the factory's doors, extending into the quiet moments of evening, into the shared laughter of family, and into the silent prayers whispered before sleep. In this moment of quiet transition, the narrative does not pause but gently shifts its focus, like a river finding its path toward the sea. The current that has carried us through the day now moves toward a horizon that is both familiar and yet to be fully revealed. The anticipation of what lies beyond this moment is not a promise of immediate reward, but an invitation to trust in the unfolding of a greater plan, one that is guided by a loving hand and illuminated by the steadfast light of Saint Joseph's intercession. The quiet hum that once marked the start of a day's labor has become a familiar hymn, its notes echoing the steady rhythm of faith that now underlies each task. In that rhythm, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. The clatter of machines is no longer merely a backdrop, but a chorus that sings of dignity, purpose, and divine partnership. The lesson here is simple yet profound. Work, when offered with a humble heart and a prayerful mind, transforms into a living testament of grace. This transformation does not demand a sudden upheaval of life or a dramatic shift in circumstance. Rather, it invites a subtle reorientation of perspective, seeing the workplace as a sacred space where God's love is both the source and the reward. In this light, every bolt tightened, every report filed, and every challenge met becomes an offering, a small act of communion that feeds the soul and nourishes the community. The presence of Saint Joseph, ever the quiet guardian, reminds us that the path of honest labor is not a solitary journey but a shared pilgrimage, one that connects us to the larger narrative of faith and service. When fatigue threatens to swallow the day, the memory of a carpenter's steady hands offers solace. It reminds us that perseverance is not a burden but a virtue cultivated through trust in a providential hand that guides even the most repetitive tasks. The intercession of Saint Joseph becomes a compass, pointing not toward personal accolades but toward the greater good, toward the unseen impact of each contribution. In this way, the workplace becomes a laboratory of virtues, humility, patience, diligence, where the seeds of character are sown and the fruits of grace are harvested. The true practice begins now, in the present moment of decision, to view each task, no matter how small, as an opportunity to mirror the divine. It is not enough to merely pray. We must also act, aligning our work with the values that God cherishes. This alignment is not a theoretical ideal but a living reality, evident in the way a mindful worker respects the dignity of colleagues, safeguards safety, and honors the sanctity of the resources entrusted to them. As we do so, we become instruments of God's love, turning everyday labor into a ministry of service that uplifts both the worker and those who benefit from their work. Thus, the closing of each day is not merely a cessation of activity but a moment of reflection, gratitude, and renewal. In the quiet after the machines have quieted, we can pause, breathe, and offer thanks for the blessings of the day, our health, our skill, our relationships. This gratitude, rooted in the humility of Saint Joseph, transforms the mundane into the sacred. It reminds us that the true reward lies not in the accumulation of wealth or accolades, but in the quiet assurance that our labor is part of a larger, divine tapestry. In living this truth, we find that the workplace becomes a place of prayer, the daily grind a liturgy of love, and every effort a prayer in action. The story of Saint Joseph reminds us that even the most unassuming work, when approached with faith and humility, can become a conduit of grace. As we step forward, let us carry this lesson in our hearts, letting each task be a testament to the presence of God in the ordinary, and may the blessing of Saint Joseph guide us to a life where work is not merely a necessity but a profound expression of our deepest devotion.